and gentlemen, it's your boy Solace Akron here, and today, with the release, or not the release, but the reveal of Pokemon Sword and Shield, discussion about this game has been ripe, and there's plenty of open discussion available for this game. Now, how the competitive scene next generation is exactly going to work, I'm going to cover in detail in another video. Might even have conversations about it with somebody, but we're just going to assume right now that that things continue like they are with Smogon leading the way, and that there is an OU tier next year. And it's already been told that, it's already been discussed that every single Pokemon that is not a box legend in Ubers is going to be brought down to OU, starting in Gen 8. And I don't think that's necessarily the best idea, because there's some, quote, box legends, such as Zygarde, and Reshiram, and Necrozma Dusk, and even Dialga, that I think have a chance in OU next generation. Some of those should be brought down and tested, especially Reshiram, my god. We'll get to that soon. But, like, some of these Pokemon I think could have been OU this generation, and some of them were OU this generation. So we're going to go through that list and reasons why it'll be OU next generation, and things that might have to be added to the metagame in order for it to be OU next generation. So without further ado, let's begin. And the first guy on the screen is what I think is the most obvious to join OU, and that's Darkrai. Darkrai lost, it lost Dark Void this generation. So it lost its best way to hit your opponent, with Sleep. And as you can see in the Uber set, they've replaced it with Hypnosis, which is only 60%. And even this set, you run into Forest Move Slot Syndrome really fast. You can, this set right here, or let's say this set with Sludge Bomb, Dark Pulse, and Nasty Plot, is walled by AV Magearna, and probably normal Magearna to an extent. And literally any fairy type. Well, not any fairy type, but any steel type pretty much walls this. So stuff like Ferrothorn, it walls Thunder Set as well. If you put Focus Blast on this slot, sure, you've hit some other things, but now, like, regular fairy types will wall you. Stuff like Tapu Koko can just outspeed you. And, I am actually surprised that they didn't give this a try this generation. 125 speed and 135 special attack, while amazing, is not, it's not like, woo! Like, it's not way out there, so I'm really surprised this didn't get tested this generation. People always say that, the one thing about Darkrai is that it's super unpredictable. It can run almost anything in these slots. It can run 3 attacks, plus, forget Hypnosis, it can run 3 attacks, alleviating anything. It can run Thunder, Sludge Bomb, Ice Beam, Focus Blast, I think it even gets Psychic. It can run a whole hell of a lot of stuff. But I think with the power creep coming this generation, Darkrai will fit. Next. Now this is an X and Y because in Sun and Moon there's only Mega Blaziken, but we'll get to Mega Blaziken. But first we're going to look at regular Blaziken, and I want you to just look at these stats. They're not out of this world, right? Even with speed boosts, they're not out of this world. 130 will still outspeed Mega Blaziken at +1. So Mega Blaziken, or at least Adamant Mega Blaziken. So you almost are forced to run Jolly or Naive on this thing, and then it doesn't really hit that hard. Now, this is another Pokemon that I'm really surprised did not get tested this generation. With the amount of Landorus T running around, and even stuff like Hippowdon could, and Garchomp could be raised in usage to counter such a Pokemon like this. Yeah, honestly, like, this set is kind of what it would. The only difference is that this would not be Life Orb. It'd probably be a Z move, either Fire Z or Fighting Z. just to break through stuff. But honestly, it's really tough for Blaziken, normal Blaziken, to survive without a Z move. I also want to mention that this particular set is walled by Toxapex, so like you would have to run Electrium Z, right? And then you wouldn't be able to run Hidden Power Ice. So it's either Fat Hippo or Landorus T is going to wall you, or Toxapex is going to wall this Pokemon. Honestly, I don't see much for this being tested right now. I don't understand why they never decided to test Blaziken. People really want to play with this Pokemon. I want to see Blaziken in OU. But I think what will happen is next generation, when they do test this along with everything, it will fall down. I believe that there are other Pokemon that will get good as well. There will be some new fat Pokemon that comes out, and it'll be like, oh wow, we can't beat that either. So, plus all these legends are coming down. To an extent, also Zygarde, if you want to run defensive Zygarde, also walls this outside of Hidden Power Ice. But I mean, if Blaziken gets a Sword Dance, it's a problem, right? But like that's gonna happen. So we're gonna move to Mega Blaziken, which as you can see, the stats are a little stronger. Here's the thing: it also has problems. It also has to run some kind of mixed set. Now, it doesn't have to worry too much about getting outsped at +1. It does a little better. Unless it's Adamant, in which case it still has to worry about being outsped at +1 by base 130. Yeah. I think, honestly, Mega Blaziken is worse than normal Blaziken in an OU setting, simply because regular Blaziken is always going to hold Z Crystal. And what that Z Crystal is there's 3 of them. You know, Fire, Fighting, or Electric. But Mega Blaziken, you know, is only going to be able to carry... it just lacks with the coverage. I don't see Stone Edge or Knockoff being on this set. I see either Thunder Punch or HB Ice being on this set, but it runs in the same problems. It really suffers, you know, from being outsped by 130s, and with Toxapex, Feeny, a whole lot of things, I think. And there'll be, like I said, power creep. So people are like, oh, well, you're trying to justify it in this generation. Yeah, by justifying it in this generation, you leave the gap open for stuff falling down. I don't think people would have ever thought that Hoopa U or... Actually, I bet people thought Hoopa U and Mawile could have been OU this gen. I don't think people would have thought that Hoopa U would be borderline. That's for sure. Let's move on to Zygarde. I don't have to say much about Zygarde, other than the fact that, well, it was OU this generation, and while it did get banned by a significant margin, I see more powerful fairy types existing in the future. I see fairy flying types in the future. You know, the fairy types that got added this generation are not bulky. Well, I mean, Bulu does wall this Pokemon, but I see stuff happening to beat Zygarde. I know that Game Freak realizes this thing got way too strong. And they're probably going to rectify that a little bit for us. We might even see a legendary that just straight up checks Zygarde. That's not too powerful, I hope. Maybe, maybe not. But Zygarde doesn't really need to be talked about. And I'm talking about regular Zygarde, not the Power Construct. Oh, no. Daddy Zygarde is not ready for OU. Let's move on. Mega Metagross was another Pokemon that was OU for quite a while this generation. So justifying it in OU is not terribly tough. A lot has changed since this Pokemon was out. A lot. For instance, like Greninja. Ash Greninja is a force. And Mega Metagross cannot survive against that monstrosity. It cannot come in and take, Dark Pulses. It's going to be paired with something that can. But that kind of offensive pressure like that, it does hurt something like Mega Metagross. Honestly, like strong ground types, You know, there's other good steals existing, at least in the Uber's tier right now. It's not that this is a bad Pokemon, it's just that, in fact, this is going to be very good in OU. You know, with basically Meteor Mash, either Zen Headbutt or Thunder Punch, Earthquake, Ice Punch, either Bullet Punch or something else, Agility, Power Up Punch. The possibilities for this monstrosity are endless. But with the power creep, I think this is going to be A-okay. Remember, this wasn't, after all, X and Y. It's an OU and X and Y. So, you know, you boost the speed a little bit, it's going to be fine. Absolutely. Let's move on. Let's talk about Landorus Eye. Let's talk about this. A big Pokemon, I think, needs this. If this is not in OU next generation, half of these Pokemon can't drop. Like, some of the stuff after this cannot drop. Let's talk about this Pokemon. It's really good Pokemon. It's been Uber ever since it came out in Gen 5, and it is still Uber today. It has never seen the grace of OU except in early XY, where it was let run about. And that's just the thing. It survived several months in OU in Gen 6, yet it wasn't even tested in Gen 7. It was quick banned. It didn't even get a day. What about why? There were faster threats this generation, stuff like Greninja. There's, you know, stuff like, I hate to say it, Mega Mawile, which this thing comes in on Mega Mawile and it takes a couple Stealth Rocks and some U-turn damage from like Scarf Landorus, and Sucker Punch at +2 is going to obliterate this. I mean, sure, it could Calm Mind or Rock Polish up against it, but you're going to get that wrong eventually. But with Ash Greninja being around, and also, obviously, there's going to be a plethora of Pokemon that help alleviate this damning Pokemon. You know, stuff like Tapu Koko outspeeds. It doesn't kill it with HP Ice, but it comes really close. Actually, it might. Stuff like Bulu forces Landorus to run like Sludge Wave, which means it loses either Stealth Rock or, well, obviously the Rock Slide isn't there, but let's say it can't run HP Ice or something. Well, now a whole bunch of other stuff walls. So, like, even like this Pokemon still has, you know, it has the stuff to beat everything, but it has to choose. And once you figure that out, it's much easier. And even in this generation. But yeah, this is definitely a Pokemon that I was like, why didn't this get tested? Why didn't it even get a chance? I'm sure it would have been banned, but it didn't even get a chance. We didn't even get to see what a metagame would look like with it. So, Aegislash, boys. Let's talk about Aegislash. Man, this is a Pokemon that's been controversial ever since it came out in X and Y. It's been tested. Did it get tested this generation? I think it just got quick banned. Or at least banned after a couple days. It got tested in X and Y, which was very controversial. And then ORAS, it got tested again because people thought that maybe it was time for it. And this generation, it got tested and people thought it was time for it. This is Pokemon Sword and Shield. It is time for this Pokemon. Guys, I want to say straight up, first of all, this Pokemon being brought down helps this Pokemon be in the tier. We don't have a strong Dark type in the tier. That's been gone, okay? When the Tapus came out, Weavile disappeared from the face of the earth. Darkrai being in the tier means that this sucker has to run Sacred Sword every time. Okay, we do have Tyranitar, but I'll talk about Tyranitar in an upcoming video on why I think Tyranitar is going to leave OU. Oh, what a sad day it's going to be. I'm honestly like, okay, this is its only set in Ubers. It's a pretty bad set that would be easily walled by stuff. Let's go look at X and Y and see if there's anything here. Nope, defensive. Is there other sets? Nope. Okay, so I gotta remind everybody what the set for this used to be. It used to be Quiet with Shadow Ball, Sacred Sword, King Shield, and was it Gyro Ball? Yeah, it was Gyro Ball, I think. Gyro Ball or Iron Head. It didn't really matter what. Super solid stuff. Or some or like Pursuit or Head Smash. We already have Mandibuzz, which basically walls this thing 100%. So if like Mandibuzz had to rise to OU, I wouldn't be like, oh god, what a sad day this is. Mandibuzz is all of a sudden a not viable Pokemon. Come on, guys. Yes, it is. It totally works. I would not justify it, but with something like Darkrai, with something like Zygarde now being a real thing, Zygarde totally walls Aegislash. Are you kidding me? With stuff like Landorus Eye, with stuff like Reshiram, I'll get to that soon, and possibly Dialga, and possibly Necrozma Dawnwings. Aegislash is going to have a hard time justifying staying in Ubers or not being able to work in OU. There'll just be too many good threats. Oh, and Ash Greninja is a thing now. I'll mention that right now. This thing just gets obliterated. Like, this thing gets obliterated. And Landorus T existing, I know that, like, okay, Shadow Ball destroys Landorus T, but Landorus T still exists, guys. The other set people ran would be, like, Swords Dance, Iron Head, Shadow Sneak, and then either Sacred Sword or Shadow Claw. That set totally destroyed by Landorus T. Like, unless it gets up to +6 somehow, which is unlikely. Yeah, there were weakness policy. Weakness policy is going to be a big item on this guy. You're actually going to see weakness policy at Aegislash be really, really good next gen because it gives it an automatic Swords Dance. Good stuff. And a nasty plot at the same time. Let's talk about Deoxys-Defense. I'm not including normal Deoxys. I'm not including Deoxys Attack or Deoxys Speed. Deoxys Speed will be brought down. And I think by definition so will Attack and normal. But I think Attack would get banned right away. Lele plus Deoxys Lele plus Deoxys Attack is a disaster waiting to happen. But Deoxys Defense, the question now becomes, like, do we want hyper offense in this kind of metagame? Do we want people to just be able to lay up hazards and get away with laying up hazards and just... Because look at this. Taunt, you know, it's going to outspeed every single defogger except for the fast defoggers. It's got spikes, so it'll be able to lay up spikes. Toxic, it can be Stealth Rock. Recover, which means it can do it later. We're talking about... And plus, people are like, oh, well, you can use Mega Sableye. But this thing has skill swap, so it can just skill swap the Sableye really easily. And then get up its hazards. Like, this is why I put this behind Aegislash. Simply because, like, I mean, we're getting the territory of maybe. The other ones I would say probably, definitely. Once you get, like, past Mega Metagross, you get to the kind of maybe territory. And this is the probably not territory. The I hope territory, but the probably not territory. So, you've got Deoxys-Defense here. It does what it's been able to do for so long. Every generation it gets tried out, it becomes an overwhelming presence for people who want to run balance, people who want to run stall. Too much. Just gets up it gets up to its hazards right away, and there's nothing you can do. Now, you know how I said this is the maybe? You know, I'm gonna put Reshiram here. I'm gonna put Reshiram here. Yeah, because this is a Pokemon that needs to be in OU. I'm gonna say it right now. Needs to be in OU. It has an awful move pool. It is terrible. It is walled by so much. Let's look at this for a second. Look at this set. This is its best set. I don't think it gets Earthquake. Let me check. What does it get? I don't even know why I'm here. It learns a Noble Roar? Huh. Interesting. It does... Wait. It does get Earth Power. Oh. Okay. I take that back. I'll be back here. No. Okay, fine. You'll stay here. Whoops. I messed that up. Okay, so basically, you see the Stone Edge? Get rid of Stone Edge or Roost. It's gonna have Earth Power. I guess it gets Earth Power. I didn't realize that. I was gonna say that Toxapex walls this. But you know what? Forget about Toxapex. Feeny walls the shit out of this. Tapu Fini. Come on. That's enough. Like, if you know, to justify this Pokemon, as well as the fact it's 90 base speed. Now, stuff like Scarf and Specs will be very dangerous with this, but with Tapu Fini is an automatic switch-in, and stuff like Toxapex being a pretty safe switch-in half the time. Though it's not gonna like a Specs Draco. We'll see about this Pokemon, but I think of all of the box legendaries to fall, this is the first one for sure. Now it's got a very high attack stat, and it can make do with that attack stat, but its only attacking moves that can really abuse is Outrage. I think it gets Outrage and Stone Edge, which really don't help. Stone Edge doesn't help it. Outrage is just kind of strange. There's another Pokemon that walls this too. I want to say that Tyranitar does wall this. So we are going to see, like, I say Tyranitar is going to fall, but, you know, if this Pokemon exists, Tyranitar just might have to be there. Also, if this isn't carrying, it's going to carry Earth Power. But it's like if this thing is Specs or Scarf, then it's going to be a 50-50 every time with Heatran. So, and Balloon Heatran? I mean, gets out of bed. I'm not going to say anything more about that. Okay, exit out of this. But it is a Pokemon that is possible to be in the tier. I know it looks super powerful, but things might drop. This might be the beginning. Kangaskhan, guys. Mega Kangaskhan. Here's another Pokemon that I did not think, or that I'm surprised with the Nerf and Parental Bond, that it did not get even a test. They just didn't even put it in the tier. This is not a good set. Where's that set? There it is. This right here, boys, is its set. Power Up Punch. There will be Sucker Punch. And then, yeah, Return or Frustration or Crunch. Doesn't really need normal stab. I mean, it can use it. Doesn't even need Fake Out, to be honest. It can be Return, Crunch, Sucker Punch, and Power Up Punch. Really good set. Seismic Toss breaks through Stall like none other. So, like, Wish, Protect, Seismic Toss. Really good set. The thing is that, like, is a +2 Kangaskhan, Mega Kangaskhan, too much for this tier? It's 100 base speed. We did not add any really good fighting types outside of Blaziken. But stuff like Mega Lucario, if Mega Lucario did come down, I did not put it on this list because I think it's not time for Mega Lucario yet. But it will get tested, so there's no question. I'm just thinking of things that I think could be an OU. Yeah, I gotta move this. Okay, so Necrozma Dawn Wings. Not this monstrosity. Oh my god, look at this. Look at this stats. 167, 167, 129. Oh my lord. This this is still pretty crazy too, but I want you to notice this right here. So bad. Really good defenses, but no Shadow Shield. So, but because we're adding Darkrai, because we're adding Aegislash, because we're adding those, and even Mega Kangaskhan potentially, this boy, and stuff like Tyranitar. I want to mention Tyranitar as a Pokemon still. Like, just because I think Tyranitar won't be OU, you add these Pokemon, Tyranitar stays OU, okay? If these Pokemon aren't in OU, Tyranitar falls next generation. We'll talk about that. Yeah, we're not using that set. They don't even have a set for this because it's so bad. Calm Mind, Roost, Photon Geyser, Moongeist Beam. Or not yet. Wait, no, not Roost. Moonlight. Moonlight, Calm Mind, or Rock Polish, like Weakness Policy. But it doesn't really get a lot to abuse. I don't think it gets Moonblast. It could run a Swords Dance set, I suppose, but not very good attack. You want to abuse this. Honestly, like, okay, it's gonna destroy everything that's not a Dark type. But Dark types wall the shit out of this, so you know that's a thing. Now, last but not least, I have a hard time justifying this Pokemon. I really do. But if the power creep is big enough, we can see this and maybe some other Pokemon fall as well. But this is a really good Pokemon. This is the I doubt it zone. The others are like possibly. Reshiram maybe, you know, this is like for sure, definitely for sure. Very, very likely, possibly, like 55%. This is like 50-50. Again, maybe it's time. This is unlikely, getting more unlikely, and then it drops. This is like 10% chance. But if any of the Ubers I think have a chance, here's one. Why? It's 90 base speed, it's weak to ground, but this thing has such a good move pool. Look at this move pool. Stealth Rock, Draco, Fire Blast, Thunder. Bro, it doesn't even need to run Earth Power. I mean, I would run Earth Power because of Heatran, but it can run Thunder to beat Toxapex. You know, and with Fire Blast, Ferrothorn doesn't wall. If they make a super bulky ground Pokemon, I mean, like a ground fairy that's super bulky. Oh god, they're going to, aren't they? If they make that, maybe this would be balanced with a legendary, one of the three, you know, maybe an event Pokemon that's ground fairy. Oh god. Or a Toxapex like Pokemon that's ground fairy. Why would they have to add ground fairy and make my life miserable? Wait, ground fairy doesn't matter. This boy's got... Never mind. This thing has Flash Cannon. What am I talking about? Here I'm talking about fairy type walling this thing, and I forget it's a steel type. Yeah. It's very unlikely this is gonna go to... Like, I'm trying to think of stuff that they could possibly add to wall this. Like, what walls it right now is stuff like, I don't know. Like, very strong fairy types, Arceus Grounds, Marshadows, Mega Lucarios. But not really. But yeah. Could Dialga be the Pokemon that joins? Possibly. I'm still for Reshiram being the first one to drop outside of Kyurem B. People say, oh, what about Kyurem White? Kyurem White is a superior Reshiram, okay? It is faster, it is stronger, and it has better move pool. By a lot. It has Ice Beam, boys. It's way better than the Reshiram. It's like Reshiram if Reshiram was a better Pokemon. Like... Yeah. So, Kyurem White is not on this list. Though I suppose if Reshiram falls down, so will Kyurem White. But we'll get to that maybe someday. But, yeah. So definitely, this is definite, like, I'd say 90% chance to be OU. 85% chance. Also 85% chance. 75% chance. 60% chance. 50% chance. I give this, I put Reshiram here as, Reshiram is like a 40% chance. This is a 40% chance, 35% chance, 30% chance, and like a 10% chance. That's the chances I give for these Pokemon to be an OU next generation. And there's also other Pokemon like Pheromosa, which have, you know, maybe better chances than like something like Dialga. But these are the ones I wanted to focus on because these are the ones I think would be the coolest. So, you know, it's just how it's gonna go. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this is Zygarde signing off. Peace.